Yeah, I think this is recording. I've never used Screencastify in my entire life. So, hello, everybody. I'm going to teach you guys about experiential counseling. Um, Hopefully, you can see my screen. So, yay, let's hope that's happening right now. Okay, so if you can, let's do this. Experiential Therapy Project by me. It's Cooper McClung. So, this is when it all began. The experiential branch of family therapy emerged really in the late 1960s due to the humanistic existential psychology movement. The creators of this theory borrowed very heavily from Gestalt therapy, psychodrama, client-centered therapy, and encounter group movements at the time. Basic belief of this theory. This theory focuses more on the present and things in today instead of looking back on things in your past. So, looking at things like family trees and things like that, it's part of the therapy. You can use that, but it's not the main focus of the therapy itself. It's all about experiencing things in the now and in today. Now, this is a little bit different than typical family theories, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later too. It's really hard to compare it to other things because it's kind of its own thing. It focuses more on doing and the experiences of actually a family getting out and doing things instead of being in a client room doing all the things that they do. Now, this is the key to overall belief of the theory. Okay, these are the two main beliefs of the family theory. The main belief is that a healthy family is a family in which people openly experience life with each other in a lively manner. Now, this can be a multitude of different things. And in this project, I'm going to talk about things that we can do in our own counseling, things we can do in our own marriage, if we are married, our families, and then things that actual people in the world do, like different programs. The flip side of this theory is that, in contrast, dysfunctional families resist, take effective risks, and members are rigid in their interactions. It means they just really come in, they say hello to each other, they might nod each other in the hallway, but that's really it. And that makes for a very dysfunctional family. They don't have any experiences together. They just mundanely live their lives. And that's kind of what happens. Now, the main two professionals of this theory, and this is also really important if you're doing the assignment for this week. Carl Whitaker, he was born from 1912 to 1995. The guy grew up on a dairy farm and was part of his nuclear family. A big contribution was his idea of absurdity, which was half-truths. His main focus was helping people live in the present. So instead of focusing on things in the past, you worked on the things in the present. His approach has been labeled experiential symbolic family therapy. Now, Virginia Satir, 1960-1988, she's kind of a lot like Carl Whitaker. She was born and raised on a Wisconsin farm. So Whitaker was born on a dairy farm, and Satir was born on a Wisconsin farm. Now, she grew up way fast. In fact, in our book, whenever we discuss some of the things that she did, she actually learned how to read at the age of 3, and she was 6 foot tall at 11. I mean, she already peaked out as tall as she was going to be at the age of 11. Now, she's considered a master communicator in story communication theory. She brought a spiritual aspect to counseling and said that people are not just connected by proximity with their bodies, but with their emotions as well. She began group family therapy. She also brought about the human validation process model. Now, a little bit more about these two people's roles. Carl Whitaker was a really weird guy. He greatly believed in spontaneous therapy. So instead of planning out things, I don't know if I could even do this myself, but instead of planning out things in detail, he would do off-the-wall activities at the drop of a hat. He would just randomly just decide, you know what, I think we need to do this. And then before they could even finish that, he would move on to his next activity. So I like that aspect that he had a lot of different activities. I'm not a huge structured person myself. I really like to be more informal, but this guy really took it to the next level. He would sometimes fall asleep in his therapy sessions and discuss life with his clients. So one of the activities that he would do was they would all lay around and sit around, and he would actually fall asleep in these therapies. They would be in such a relaxed state that they would just talk about things in a very relaxed state, and they would sometimes fall asleep. Relaxing and fun activities were his big thing. He did not seem to have a boundary with clients. In fact, in our book, it discusses this too. He would call his clients and discuss with them about his dreams about them at any hours of the night. So he didn't really have a good boundary with his clients, it seems like. But he is very famous for this. Virginia is a little bit different. She was much more professional. She had many planned activities. She would go point A to point B to point C, very structured, much Totally the opposite of Whitaker. She had a very professional setting activities, had a strong relationship with her clients, but she also had very healthy boundaries with her families, which I think is really important in this type of family counseling, because I could definitely see somebody in the middle of the night in normal practice, midnight, a family gets in a fight and they call their therapist and starts trying to talk to them. And, as counselors, we really do need to have to set strong boundaries and say, no, this is our hours. These are times. Yes, we are 100% there for you, but we also have our own personal lives that we have to live, and we can't just be bombarded all the time. We need to make that as forthright to the clients as possible, but we need to do it as much as understanding and professionalism as we can. Now the general roles for this therapy. Okay, the general role for the therapist in this therapy. We're supposed to be comforting and continually creating a theme of atmosphere of comfort and acceptance. We need to make strong bonds with our people. We need to help the clients discover their individuality, and that's really the main thing. Is that we start off, as it says in here, we kind of create a warm, accepting, respectful, hope-oriented sort of counseling practice. We have to be willing to get out of our comfort zones, take risks with clients, of course, in an ethical way. We have to be very open-minded about new experiences, because some of these experiences, through my research we were doing, you actually have to do some of these with them. You can't just say, hey, I think this is a really good idea. Some of them you really need to do with them. And I really equate it to training wheels. You start off doing it with the clients, with the families, maybe a husband and wife or an entire family, and you do these experiences with them, some of them, and then after they kind of gather speed, they just kind of take over. And that's when they learn their own individuality, and that's kind of when they soar doing their own sort of thing. But you really, like I said in this last point, you really have to be the training wheels to get them started, because obviously it's a little bit dysfunctional. You're not really going to get a whole lot of people coming in and say, oh, I have a perfect marriage, everything's great, I would love some therapy. It's not quite how it's going to work. So as a client, we have to be very concerned, very careful with our clients, very warm and accepting. Really, this aspect of hope is a huge one. And then just kind of go with them a little bit, kind of show them how the ropes are, get them comfortable with each other, and then let them kind of go themselves. Now, compared to other theories, this one's a bit different. Experiential counseling is hard to compare to other theories. The entire process is really unique. It's more out-of-the-box thinking, which I really like, than regular theories. Now, one huge comparison to this theory and other theoretical theories is the need to have a charismatic and sensitive therapist. This makes sense. We don't want someone who's just, we show up for therapy or for counseling and very bland, very monotone. They don't seem like they're very interested. They're not excited. They're not any of these things. They're just very bland and washed out. And we don't want that. That doesn't work in counseling. Now, also a huge contrast, because some therapy techniques work better with an extroverted characteristic individual, but in some cases it's not necessarily necessary. You don't have to be an extrovert necessarily to be a counselor. You can do it as an introvert. We're not doing it with a large group of people all the time. It is possible to do this. In this process, though, however, in experiential counseling, you really kind of need, this process is dependent really on an experiential counselor to be charismatic and open-minded, and really you got to push a little bit. I mean, you really have to be that type of person that that gravitates people towards them. You kind of have to be a fun personality for this one, I feel like. Now, can we see some examples of this therapy? You know what? You absolutely can. That's what we have here. This is actual people out in Colorado. This is some group of people that do marriage counseling. And it's called Rock Your Marriage. Now, this is an actual group of people that is solely, the whole purpose of it is for experiential counseling group. I didn't pull up all the statistics for it. I really focused more on the counseling part. But just on the statistical side, these people year round are counseling. Their plate is really full. In fact, I didn't try to call myself or make an interview or anything like that, but the waiting list for it online seemed lengthy. I'm about to hit the end of my recording session for this one, but I'm going to immediately start another one using the screencast. So if I do cut off, we're going to go ahead and we'll do part 2 of this project. And I'm going to go ahead and try to stop that right now.